Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. Today I want to talk about something very important that ties in with my last video. And that's how not only narcissism is being pushed heavily in society, and the narcissist woman. The narcissist woman can do no wrong in society, and is being protected and encouraged, and even rewarded. But to complete the imbalance, the narcissist man has been made the gold standard of what a woman is to look for. If a man is good looking, and has an average job, just working hard and living their life, a criminal would have a way easier time finding a woman to be with. Where the hard-working man with good intentions can stay single for years. And the reason for this is society is pushing and pushing and pushing the narcissist or psychopathic male as being what a woman needs in order to make her excited and to end her boredom. Now today I came across Joran van der Sloot's confession as to what happened to Natalie Holloway. And for those of you that don't know about this story, Natalie Holloway from United States traveled to Aruba on a class trip, as a celebration for graduating high school. And before everyone left to return back home, they realized that Natalie was missing. They searched for her, and things seemed to lead back to Joran van der Sloot, a Dutch citizen I believe that was living in Aruba with his father if I'm not mistaken. Well, it turns out that Joran tried to get something going on with Natalie in the romantic sense. They went to the beach. And he originally said after they hung out he never seen her again. And didn't know what happened to her. And though most people believed he ended her life, there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. So he basically got away with it. But a few years later, he was in South America and ended up ending a woman's life there. This time he was caught on camera. And he was convicted and spent time in prison in South America. And somewhere in all of this, I believe he tried to blackmail Natalie's mother to get money to tell her what happened to her daughter. And as a result he was rearrested for blackmail. And now the real confession comes out regarding a plea deal. Regarding what really happened that night he was with Natalie Holloway. And I think explaining the evil of what he did would be too much. I will just say, he admitted to violently and terribly ending Natalie's life. Now the reason why this story struck me and made me think about my last video. Even though I want to make it clear, Natalie was and her family are 100% the victim in all of this. But I have a question. What are we teaching our girls and women to look for in a man with in regards to attraction? And even if parents try to teach some things to their children, or we try to help one another out as adults, you have media and the movies and television pushing figures that look like this guy as being dangerous yet exciting. You see, when I've heard Joran's interviews over the years, and just that psychopathic and narcissistic smirk and grin he gives, he appears to be that guy that will tell you he has all the connections, and he can get whatever you're looking for. Dangerous, exciting, and on the edge of life. When in reality he uses this as a lure to get people to fall into his trap. And for men like this, it's easy. It's so easy. Because if you want to do the right things, as a man, society mocks you, and calls you boring. And when women see that, they don't want to be associated with a man that is mocked or looked down upon. You see, both men and women both will oftentimes go against our better judgment just to go with the crowd. I've mentioned before, there have been studies where someone said there was an emergency in the building and they all had to get out quickly. And the one that looked like the official person, Started to walk to a door that was a dead end. However, on the other end of the room, there was a door clearly marked. Emergency exit. Well, most people followed the official looking person to the dead end, simply because everyone else was following them. So for the ladies, even if a man is good for you, if others mock him and make fun of him, even if he's kind and hard working, most ladies will lose interest in this man and drop him like a hot rock. But guys like this, that are talking about adventure and connections and he's got this and he's got that, the dangerous and on the edge kinda guy, they will go with him, simply for the thrill. Now I'm not saying Natalie went to hang out with this guy for this reason at all. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is this. When this guy talks, most people can see there is something wrong. Meaning he seems to have this air of he's untouchable. And I doubt he just started acting like this. And more than likely he used this type of way about him to pull women. Usually American women while in Aruba. He's got the cool accent that American woman might like. He's different. He's cocky. He probably brags about the connections he has on the island and beyond. But if this was happening when he met Natalie, he may have thought that his smooth dark triad ways was going to get him the result he likely was used to getting. But when at the last moment he got kneed in the crotch by Natalie, he likely being a psychopath and having zero impulse control without thinking he seemed, he ended her life in a horrible way. And he did what he did so quick, as if it was a reflex. Again, Natalie was the victim in this. But what are we teaching our women? I recently seen a video of a woman that had several children with a man that was on probation for all kinds of violent things. Well, they had an argument gone wrong. And this guy, as a reflex, gets trigger happy, if you know what I mean. And how she survived, I think it was 11 or 12 shots, is beyond me. God had to be with her. But the thing is, you hear on these dating shows, and how a working man is boring, that they need a scammer, a criminal. Why? Because they said the working man is boring. And guys like this demon know this fact. I'm sure every time a plane would land in Aruba, and it was a plane full of young women, especially from a country different than his, he played up the international playboy routine and knowing everyone and he can get whatever he wants. Just stick with him and everything will be okay type of act. And the sad fact is that act probably worked for him dozens and dozens of times. Until this time, he thought it was working. And when it fell apart at the last second, his psychopathic brain couldn't handle it. And his first reflex reaction was violence. You see, in my last video, I made the point. This imbalance in society is actually leading to the collapse of society and relationships. First they went after the women to turn them into narcissists. So non-narcissist men would get put through the ringer by narcissist women. Then they started to work on the men, saying, if you want to not get treated like a punk, like these stupid guys that think love is a thing, and you can live happily ever after, you have to adopt that dark triad mentality. And to not care about anyone. Some men fake it. And some men like this guy is the real deal. He's the real evil. It's sad. We are basically teaching women to treat relationships like a scary movie or an amusement park ride. The more scarier the better and the more exciting it is. Then they have to go on another ride that is even more intense and that brings them even more so to the edge of life. I bet Joran gets tons of mail from women that want to marry him and that claim they love him. True. Men write women that are like this too. But I don't believe to the same degree. You take a hard-working decent man. Even a man that looks pretty good. Put him on a dating app. He will get no messages. But this guy, I'm sure, is getting tons of mail from women that claim they love him. Again, Natalie and her family are victims. But we need to teach our girls and women. Boring is okay. And boring isn't really boring when you think about it. Because going with that person that promises that surefire good time, things usually don't end up well. Most people don't end up losing their life. But how do you know you are with a real deal psychopath that can and will snap at the wrong word said or someone having a physical boundary? Well, sometimes sadly those find out. At the moment such an evil person has their violent reflex reaction. And then it's too late. I talked about Tupac in my last video. How Tupac, before he got famous, he couldn't get a date because he was too nice, kind and thoughtful. And he turned into a rough guy, likely because that's the image that would sell and get him where he wanted to go in life. And it sure got him the ladies. But that very image he became put him around people that ended his life over that image. There is a difference between being kind and loving and creepy. But just being a kind, decent person is seen as creepy and weird when it's just being kind and decent. And why is it seen this way? Because women for decades have been trained to think the scammer or the so-called guy that has all of the connections isn't creepy. That he's fun and exciting. So with decent men either alone or tied up with a narcissist woman. And decent women tied up with narcissist and psychopathic men. Society is collapsing. And the puppet masters know it. Because who do you think pushes these desires and images? Something to think about. I do hope Natalie can rest in peace and her family can get some sort of closure. And my prayers go out to them. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.